Harper Valley PTA. Harper Valley PTA. What's up? I'm on my way to Home Depot. Call someone who cares. Country Club.
Travis Tritt live in the Milton Civic Center, April 1st.
I think I might as well roll this window up so we can have a little talk about the state of America. What we got right now, it's relocated. What we have is a tyrannical president who's out of control. He's seized authority and he seized control of our country. All I know is that continual false flags and anybody that seems to be in the way of his agenda, a lot of times found murdered, died of natural causes, commit suicide. The White House chef retired, was going to go bask in the sun, enjoy his retirement after he'd been with the Obamas the entire time. He went missing. 2 weeks later, he was found dead. I mean, it seems like a continual, Joan Rivers, you can go on and on. Anybody that crosses Obama seems to meet an early demise. But recently, the most recent is Supreme Court Justice Anton Scalia. He's the most conservative justice of all. He's been the anchor of the court for a while as far as the ruling by the Constitution. Obama's already appointed 2 Supreme Court justices, Sotomayor and I don't even know the other one, but Sotomayor, she's a fucking anti-gun judge. I'm sure the other liberal is an anti-gun. So basically, if he appoints another Supreme Court justice, he could possibly swing the pendulum to the other direction because it's been conservative for a number of years, over 30 years. And so with his appointment, I'm sure the Senate's going to try to block it. I'm sure that they're going to try to stall. They're not going to want to confirm them and stuff, but I got a feeling that they're probably going to have to eventually confirm his other nomination, and if that's the case, then we may lose the Second Amendment. That's what they're after, and you can tell by all the false flags, all the gun narratives, all the talking points are guns. At the same time, he wants to take our guns. They just ruled that they're not going to be able to keep secret the Fast and Furious documents anymore, so they're going to have to release that. So then you're going to see Eric Holder. You're going to find out that he perjured himself several times. And he was deeply involved. Of course, he claimed he knew nothing of it, but I got a feeling that when they released the documents that they wanted to keep hidden, I'm pretty sure Eric Holder will be implicated in quite a bit of it, and he'll more than likely, obviously, he's already been perjured himself, and that's already known. Whether they do anything about it, he was in contempt of Congress, first Attorney General ever. So whether or not they do anything of it or not, who knows? But I got a feeling they're coming for the guns, and I'm really worried about it. I don't understand why anybody in this country thinks for 1 second that Obama will not do whatever it takes for a third term. He'll do whatever it takes to get his agenda pushed through. And he wants your guns, and he's more than likely going to make a pitch for them. I would hope this country's had enough of Obama, and if he starts to shit for a third term, people are going to be outraged. But I'm not confident of it because I don't know many things that get American citizens outraged anymore. A sporting event, now, if their team doesn't win, like the Super Bowl or something, then they'll riot. And even if they do win, they still riot and tear shit up. But they could take your rights, take your gun rights, and nobody wants to riot. Nobody picket. Nobody cares. I'm guilty of it too. It's hard to, when you're trying to make a living, to go out and picket every fucking cause or whatever. I'm more of a revolutionary-minded guy. I'm a lone wolf. until the shit hits the fan, and then I'm gonna find people of a like-minded group up with them. I'm not really a prepper or a person that wants to dig a bunker and wait. I'm not gonna stockpile shit because I'm not planning on staying where I'm at now anyway. So it would do me no good to stockpile shit there because I can't take it with me. I'll get what I need on the way where I'm going. That's the way I see it. But I'll tell you, that may be my last stand right there on Couture Street because they're not getting my gun. I mean, the state of Florida thinks that because you get, non-return of leased equipment, they can label you a felon and take your gun rights. All I can tell them is if they read the Second Amendment, it's really plain English when it says these rights cannot be infringed upon. That means by nobody, no government, no one, period, can infringe on my right to bear arms as a fundamental principle of the Constitution. You will not have the Second Amendment, the First Amendment, without the Second Amendment, because you'll never have free speech without the right to bear arms, because you can never defend it. But you might, when you're talking about the Constitution and the functions of our government, you're talking pretty much Greek to most people. Most morons that walk the streets of this country, they couldn't tell you anything about government or how it operates or how the Federal Reserve operates or our economics. I'm no rocket scientist, but I'm up on those subjects, and I'm pretty much up on history. But the average moron walking the streets of America could maybe tell you who won American Idol, probably tell you fucking what show's on tonight. Probably couldn't even name the first president of the United States. They have intentionally removed history from anything that would be taught for the reasons of, they don't want you to know these things. They don't want you to know all the things that they've done throughout the years, all the atrocities they've committed, and all the people that have died at their hands, and all the wars that they've started and governments they've overthrown. They don't want you to know all that. So history's not a big thing to the New World Order agenda. The history's not favorable to them, so they nixed it. That's what happens when you get the federal government mandating what your schools do. I don't agree with public school at all. I think it's a pretext to prison. All public schools, elementary on up, resemble fucking prisons. They're just it's a minimum security prison. That's all it is. They teach you to they teach your kids to stay in line, no gap in the line, hands to the side, eyes straight forward, no talking, don't look at anybody, and march right to your next objective. No time to waver. Don't be an individual. Go with the group. They don't promote creative to be creative or anything. They want you just a group. Everything's a group effort. You must, participate in the group. And it's just it's indoctrination, brainwashing. They eliminate history. They start teaching you that homosexuality is good and that diversity is good, and that racism's bad, and that you should all white people should have guilt, because we're the slave owners, which is bullshit. Southerners owned slaves, which was common practice around the world at the time. We didn't have a monopoly on slavery. There's been slaves since time began. They will continue. I'm a slave right now, so every day that I have to fucking work and pay the government money, I feel like a slave. Every time that I get my taxes go in and it goes to pay the national debt down or whatever bullshit you want, the fraud, the Federal Reserve fraud, I'm a slave. I'm working for the bankers. I don't have a choice in the matter. That means you're a slave, either indentured or a debt slave or a tax slave. You're all three. So at least in the slavery days, you could get room and board for your work. Sometimes my paycheck won't pay my bills to pay my room and board. And all of this is under while the rich in this country get excessively rich. I didn't seek fame or fortune, but I would like to be able to pay my bills and just maybe work one job instead of continually working side jobs. I would like to know that I didn't have to do moonlight all the time to make extra money just to pay my bills when I don't live extravagant and I have minimal bills. But inflation, the cost of living, and the pay scale are nowhere near in line. It's pathetic. I live in a part of Florida that obviously a lot of people will move to. So there's a high cost of living here, mainly because of the retirees and people that really aren't, hurting for money. They come down here, buy a third house to, have at this beach or whatever. Those people don't, it doesn't affect them, the cost of living. But the people that reside here, that build all the multi-million-dollar homes for all these people, I'm an electrician, so I pull wire on multi-million-dollar homes, and my pay is $14 an hour. That's below poverty. How can I be a skilled trade and be under poverty? I'll tell you how. Because all the regulations, all the permits, all the this and that and the other has driven the cost of building a house up to the point where it always comes down to where we'll oppress the workforce to keep the labor costs down as much as we can, because we can't really control materials costs, and we, to a certain extent, can't control the market. But what we can control is the amount we pay. So we all keep our pay around the same, and so anybody that gets hired on at any entry-level job is going to make about the same amount of money, maybe $9, $10 an hour to start out. That's so far below poverty you can't even. That's $6, $7 under a living wage. So, and that's across the board. The only jobs that are profitable, that are sustainable without doing more than your job, are government jobs. And of course, the government employees, they get a really nice wage. They get all the holidays also. Basically, I have to go to work most all holidays so that I can be sure to pay my tax so they can have a day off. And when we're about to reach the threshold in this country where there's going to be more government workers than there are private sector, and that should tell you, that should be a really good example of how huge our government has grown. And that's not even with the Obamacare. It's going to far exceed private sector workers. Obamacare there's going to be a bureaucratic office for Obamacare for every phase of it. There'll be in every town in the United States, and there's going to be another government minion, piece of shit worker, good for nothing, couldn't make it in the private sector, get a government. It's going to create a fucking massive vacuum of waste, and it's just ridiculous. Our government's way too big. They're so far out of their written authority. They're so far removed from their given authority to expand. They're never supposed to own anything. They're not supposed to be in anything for profit. Government is supposedly, our federal government, according to the Constitution, is nothing except a referee between the states, more or less. The only thing they can own is a 10 by 10 section in fucking Washington. This is all expressly written in the Constitution. They have broadened their powers through the Commerce Act and all these other acts and all this bullshit. And there's no federal income tax law. That's all just another lie. And basically, what the government does is, when they don't want to go by the law of the Constitution, they have a simple process that they do. They go ahead and let you know that our guns are bigger than yours. Our paid thugs, which are the police or military, whichever, will come over to your house, kick your door in, drag you to the cage, or either shoot you dead, shoot your dog, when you don't comply. So they derive their authority, as far as I can tell, from the barrel of a gun. They don't have a constitutional authority. They don't have a God-granted authority. What they have is authority by force, and that's tyranny. And they're at any given time reserve the right to come to your house, kick your door in, and drag you away when you don't comply. And that's what we live under in America. Well, sometimes they kick the wrong door in a lot of times and kill people, but even if they get the door right, the right house number, and kick the door in, either way, it's a breaking and entering and kidnapping when they take people under statutory law, which is bullshit. It's nothing but a bunch of bureaucratic words written down. A bunch of bureaucrats get together and try to tell you how to live, and enforce it with the long arm of the law. It has no real authority. So Every human has a right to self-defense. Every human has a right to be armed. And under the Constitution, you have a duty to arm a militia and a duty to overthrow the government if it's tyrannical. If it meets a long list of atrocities, is how it explains it. And I say that the federal government of the United States has long ago reached the threshold to be overthrown. So I hope that the millennials and all the younger people realize that one day the people like me who believe in the Constitution, the constitutionalist-minded people, are definitely planning to overtake this government and put them in perspective, put them back in their place, because we have a duty to do so. And so I feel very strongly about that duty, and I feel very strongly about my participating in it. If I don't get to see this system crumble, my life will be a waste. It has grown to be a 500-pound gorilla in the corner that no one can contain and no one can mess with. You can't get away from it. And so every American needs to take their duty seriously. I'm gonna go into Home Depot and get me some building products. I'm living the American dream and doing a room addition on my mobile home that I can barely afford. But it's the American dream. Poor Daddy out.